Always live, always wild. Hello everyone and welcome to Africam show. I am very excited to be here with you all as usual. It's me, Trishala, to help you along as we move across the different cameras here at Africam. And we're starting off at Tau, and we've got a really nice big herd of Wildebeest. How are you all doing? Are you ready to spend the next half an hour together to ask any questions or comments or send any comments that you may have? Because, always live, always wild, so we're live and interactive, so send them through. I've already got quite a few coming through. I love to know how you're doing. I love how you're enjoying this time together. And, I like to know if you're having a coffee, all those kinds of things. This is the opportunity where the community can come together with a ranger and enjoy wildlife together. Lisa Hoffman, hello, you say, Yahoo, you're up early for work, so you have your second cup of coffee and you're ready to watch live. Well, welcome. I can completely understand that. So often with this kind of thing, we have to catch up later because the times are all different, and it's always a treat when we get to catch the wildlife or catch a show that's actually live. So welcome, Rolling Trouble. Hello, Rolling Trouble. You say hello from Washington. Hard to break away from bear cams, but coffee and water here. Those bear cams are really, really interesting. Andy, you say good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. And Jarrell, happy Tuesday. You say you're smiling with a cup of dark Paradiso coffee, patiently waiting for your favorite time with me and all of you. That sounds fantastic. Now, over on this side of the world, I'm sitting in South Africa, in Cape Town to be specific. It is chilly. I've got a hoodie on, some blanket thrown over me, and a heater at my side. Quite chilly. It looks pretty outside, though. But it's about 13 degrees Celsius. It looks much warmer at Madikwe. I think it's probably around 24, maybe even 25 degrees Celsius up in Madikwe, where Tau is. A lot more bearable. Bob from Kalamazoo. Hello, Bob. You say hello to Shala and everyone. A happy Tuesday. Yes, a happy Tuesday to all. Mindy Telepal. Hello. You say, hey, Shala. Lovely as always to hear my voice. I'm glad you say that because I feel like I've been using my voice the whole day. The whole day. So if I get a little bit hoarse, please forgive me. Now this is a stunning scene. We haven't seen, or at least during the Africam show on Tuesdays at this time, I haven't seen such large groups of wildebeest come together. So this is really a treat, and they're actually across on the other side as well. I wouldn't be able to count them. There's so many that are down, sitting down, and those that are standing up. And I suppose as we start to move further and further into the dry season and those small seasonal pans really start to dry up, we're going to see a lot more concentration of animals, especially those water-dependent animals, at a resource like this. Now, you might wonder, is this just one herd sitting like this? But no. This is just a group that have come together at a resource. Many animals do this. When they come together at a resource, we call them, well, when they can hang out together without, causing too much trouble, they're gregarious, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're part of the same herd. Oh, perfect. We've moved over to the most stunning camera. Old Donio. Oh, let's just take a moment here because I love to listen to the sound of an elephant drinking, to the water that trickles down from the sides of their mouths. It's such an unmistakable sound. There's so much about the way that we exist that, it's so complex. what I'm thinking about right now is there's been many a time, hello you, there's been many a time where I'm maybe a couple hundred meters from a waterhole, okay, maybe not that much, maybe 100 meters and less from a waterhole, and I can't actually see the waterhole, but I can hear this exact sound. And somehow our brains are able to know what it sounds like when an elephant drinks compared to, say, a giraffe drinking. Maybe it's something to do with the amount of water that comes out the sides of their mouth. Maybe it has to do with the height, because the height of that droplet falling from their mouth and hitting the pan again, that's a specific sound, a specific frequency, pitch. And our brains are constantly collecting information like that about our environment. Not just our brains, but the brains of animals too. And I'm always in awe of that. In the same way as when, again, 100 meters or less from a waterhole and you can hear lapping. And the sound is unmistakable and you know immediately there is a predator drinking at the waterhole. In the darkness, just from that sound. Our existence is it's truly amazing. Suki V, hi Suki V, you say last time of watching as you take us on to South Africa on Thursday. Oh my goodness, Suki V, I'm so excited for you. We've been hearing about the trip to South Africa for several weeks. I can't wait for you to get you and really enjoy our wildlife in person. Now on Thursday I'll be heading up to Madikwe, so keep an eye out on the Tau Cam. Maybe I'll stroll by, well not stroll, I'll roll up in my game drive vehicle and wave at you. Suki D, you also say that there was a cheetah at Tau a short while back. Wow. That's a treat. Tia Curtis, now Europa, you say hello. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us for the Africam show. It's the first time I'm hearing your name. Are you new to our community? If so, a very big, warm welcome to you. Mary Momo, you say, hi Trishala, you're sliding in from a hot springs, Arkansas. Lovely to hear it. Well, as a guide and I suppose just somebody who spends a lot of time investigating the natural world, I got into a bit of a rabbit hole, as we do. Even sometimes just over the Africam show we get into a rabbit hole. Remember that rabbit hole we got into over pied? The definition of pied. It was lovely, I love it. But anyway, I got into a rabbit hole recently about Parthenian corpuscles. What a wonderful word. All that is, it's the name of nerve bundles towards the edge of pretty much, sensory areas. We have them, but they're not as pronounced as they are in elephants. Now I'm watching the edge of their trunks, so right where the finger-like protrusions are. Now there's also quite a lot of Parthenian corpuscles, those nerve bundles there. And they're really important for detecting changes in pressure. So have you noticed that sometimes when we watch elephants, they would stand still and put their trunks onto the ground? Now when they do that, they're able to detect movement, pressure changes, vibrations on the ground. And what is that super important for? Their style of communication. Because remember that they communicate infrasonically, or the part of their communication happens infrasonically. So if you imagine these really big sound waves coming through that we can only feel, we can't hear, they're below our hearing threshold. We just feel them coming through as vibrations. Now those Pacinian corpuscles, those nerve bundles at the end of their trunks, really help them to, I suppose, clearly receive communication. And I'm thinking about their use right now as they drink. Could the Pacinian corpuscles help them even to detect movement in water? Because they are extremely sensitive, but I don't know if they can. But it's just something to think about. Steve Swanson, welcome on board. You say hello, Trishala, and everyone else. Steve from Florida, and you're finishing some Colombian coffee, and I love how you put in brackets French press, of course. I love a French press coffee. So look at this bull on the right. Look at how he's extended his trunk down to lean so much of the end on the ground. To me, that indicates that he's listening to conversations that are happening around him, maybe with this bull next to him. But usually those low-frequency infrasonic communication between elephants is best for over long distances. Maybe he's eavesdropping on somebody else's conversation. Whenever I see them go very still, that's a very easy way to figure out that they're communicating. But other things that you can look for are things like leaning the trunk down onto the ground. Sometimes they would cross the back legs, and other times they might put one leg forward so that the alignment of the bones in the one leg sits up with the inner ear. But those are subtle ways to figure out if they're communicating. The most obvious one, if you're not too used to elephant behavior, is to just see if everyone suddenly is very still. Lovely. We're over at our black eagle chick, and both parents are here. How lovely. We have a bit of a family portrait. You can, oh, I guess we can't see the chick very well, but I'm going to assume that very much of the chick's body, oh, there we go, trying to bite its parent's tail. And so it's just on the side. If you look at the adult whose tail is towards the rocks, the little chick is there too. You can just see it popping out every now and then. So I was about to say, because I couldn't see where the chick was, looks like it just got shouted at. I was about to say that I'm going to assume that the majority of its body has been covered in feathers, and feathers have replaced the down, because ordinarily that stark white is just so obvious, the color of the down. But I can't actually reach that conclusion because it's mostly hidden. So quite a few weeks have passed now. Very soon, and then in the next maybe about 2 to 3 weeks, in fact even a little less than that, I'd say about 2 weeks, we're going to really see those feathers come through. We're going to see very little down, and at about 3 months to 100 days old, this little thing is going to fledge. Now, after it fledges and it attains its juvenile plumage, it's still going to take a year to a year and a half for those feathers to darken and resemble the adult. Even still a couple more years to actually mature, but at least it will start to resemble the adult. I just wanted to reveal itself so we can see, because there'll definitely be more feathers coming out and probably darkening as well. It actually looks like the parents might have a kill over on the other side there that they're getting into. Now, like with all animals, really, humans being an exception, and there might be one or two other mammals that are an exception in this case. But what I'm getting at is that the majority of animals are going to be, if there comes a critical point where the resources are scarce, adults will likely take care of themselves before they take care of youngsters. This is not what is happening right here. What's happening here is that the chick is getting older and has probably already been fed, but wants more because it's stronger, it's got a bit of a personality now, and it's, I guess, getting a little feisty. So that's what I expect is happening right here. But it's a good moment to talk about the fact that in the wild, if adults come across a predator or resources are scarce, they are far more likely to take care of themselves than to, throw themselves in front of a predator to protect their young. And that's because without parents, any youngster in the wild where there is parental investment will die. So if the parent dies, it's pretty much death for the youngster as well. In this case, I think that the parents just really want to get a meal in. Well, hopefully it will pop its head out and we can actually see it a little bit more clearly. It's really nice to keep tabs on its development, to see the different feathers as they come out, and especially as they change color. That would be really nice to have a look at. I find it so difficult to figure out who's the male and the female, the Katsa and Batlori. It's a very subtle difference. Hopefully I'll get better at it as I watch those cams. But we're back at Old Donyo now. And our two bulls are still here enjoying the water. And we've got some impala in the background too. Now, Old Donyo is a pumped pan, like many, many, many pans across game reserves in Africa. And a while back on this camera, we caught this elephant that had his trunk, the end of his trunk, right over the spout that delivers water to this pan. It was so cute. It was adorable. They were nice and close as well. And that's typical of elephants, to go right for the water before it gets contaminated by any sediment. They're super, super fussy. So look at this bull on the right there. Look how he's leaning his back leg on the other. Now, I said to you that this can be one of those subtleties that you look for when you're thinking about whether elephants are communicating or not. And yes, they can do this when they're communicating also. And he also has his trunk down on the ground again. So maybe he is chatting to somebody. He's very still. Now the exact purpose of leaning or putting all their weight on 3 legs is not well understood, because it's also something that elephants do when they feel a little bit tired. Carrying a couple tons of body weight must be exhausting. But in terms of communication and picking up those frequencies from other elephants in the area, having 3 points could act as a way of triangulating where something is coming from, where the sound is coming from. And this is all theory that we've read. This is not something that has been proved. It's just a suggestion on what this could indicate. Now, if you receive any kind of sound information onto a triangle, the sound has to hit one place over the others. And that's what triangulation is. Because it's a triangle, only one of 3 areas could be hit at a particular time. So it can help the animal, or signal or reception, if we're talking about man-made objects, it can help the animal determine which direction the sound is coming from. That's a possibility for what standing on 3 legs does when an elephant is communicating with others. Tim, hi Tim. And you say hello to me. You'd like to know, can an elephant's tusk rot like a tooth? You can. Because it is a tooth, and that's obviously why you're asking this, is because you know that an elephant's tusk is a modified incisor tooth, and so it's got enamel, it's got a pulp, it's got nerves, and the base of it functions very much like a tooth, or the anatomy is very much like a tooth. So if we think about things that cause rot, like you say in human teeth, it's things like cavities or breaking a tooth, anything that exposes the enamel and that internal cavity. So elephants that can definitely happen. And as a general rule, if the certain part of an anatomy exists, then assume that problems with it can exist as well. But definitely, like having a sore tooth, a toothache, a tusk falling out, it can happen. It can definitely happen. I recall a time when a tusk fell out of one individual, but I can't remember where it was in Africa, but I read about it. Similar thing, problem with the tooth, or problem with the tusk rather, and then it kind of, decaying and falling out. Ooh, Mindy Tillapal, that is an excellent question. You'd like to know if I have any thoughts on why some animals, like elephants, have their reproductive organs internally. Let's think about this. So for starters, let's talk about why many animals have their testes outside of the body. Having testicles outside of the body allows sperm to remain at a cooler temperature than if it was inside of the body. And surprisingly, sperm has a very small temperature window, to exist. So it's got to be kept relatively cool to the body. So I'm talking like body is at 37 degrees Celsius. Sperm wants to be kept, for it to be optimum health, be kept at a few degrees. Look at this. the sperm need to be kept cooler. So that's why testes are outside of the body. But Mindy, we're going to get back to that because this is a really cool question. But I just wanna point out that this little rose eagle or black eagle is looking very spunky, very stylish, lots of dark feathers. Look at it having a go at its parent. Oh my goodness, it kind of looks like a little vulture, right? Because the head and the neck is still covered in sparse down, but the rest of it is nice and dark. Oh. Now, like I said, it's very difficult for me to tell the father from the mother, but the way that this adult and the chick looked as the other bird left made me feel like it was the mother that left and that she had enough of these two. It's amazing how much personality we get to see sometimes in animals that we don't think of as, or often don't think of as individuals, individuals with personality. And the more we get to spend time with different animals, different individuals, that is, the more we learn about their personality. And I love that. I really do. Oh, shame. You know you want to go for those leftovers. Do it. Almost looked like it just fell over there. I think this chick might be sneaking a little bit of a snack with a low profile there. Exactly, rolling trouble, you say. Oh, baby. Exactly. Soon this baby's gonna be grown up. Every day on the every week on the Africam show, we come and we visit this chick together. And it was only a few weeks ago, it was a new arrival in June. So bright, stark white. And every week since we've seen changes, we've seen milestones. First we saw it lifting its head up, moving about in the nest, self-feeding. Now we're seeing the development of feathers, or first we saw the development of feathers a week back or so. Now we're seeing them darken. We're seeing a greater percentage of the body being covered in feathers. All these little milestones that we get to witness together. And the last few minutes together, we're back at Old Donyo, and Mindy Tulipal, I just wanted to leave you with something to think about, because the answer to your question about why some animals have internal testes, I can't answer outright, but I can tell you that external testes are because of the fragility of sperm in terms of temperature, so they need to be kept cooler than the rest of the body. Now, internal testes, could it be that those animals are better at regulating their temperature, particularly around the reproductive area? Maybe. It might also have to do with the way that animals fight. Maybe how much interaction they have with other males that could leave their testes vulnerable, and so that's why they're inside the body. But I don't know, and it's something to really, really think about. And I'm so glad you sent that question through, because I have read about and thought about external testes and its role the role that temperature control in sperm also plays in mating, because when a female has, for example, a fever, which would indicate that she's unwell, her temperature goes up, and that could kill the sperm. And I've read that much in lions. So there's a lot going around, lots of things that I'm thinking about, and internal testes, I haven't really given it a lot of thought. So thank you, because I am going to think about it. Oh, we've come to the end of our time together. Jarell, you say thank you. That early info was so interesting, and the elephant illustrated the explanation perfectly, as though he was cooperating with my explanation or conversation. Don't you just love it when elephants and animals learn the script too? It's amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. It's time to say goodbye. I hope that you had a wonderful time, that you learned a little bit. Maybe you just enjoyed the wildlife, and I hope that your smile is bigger than when we started. Bye for now, everyone.